In this video, I'm going to tell you guys exactly everything you should know about the different schemes, the different playbooks, and everything to do with offensive coordinating in the upcoming College Football 25. And before you say that all the teams are going to have different playbooks, so this video will be an hour long, that's not necessarily true because they're all going to follow a set of schemes. And that's what I'm going to go over today. What each scheme is, what personnel they have, what type of plays they run, what their focus is, so you have a general idea for each of them. With that being said, let's get straight into the first one. Up first, we have what's called a multiple scheme, and it's basically what it sounds like. It's a multiple combination of different playbooks that kind of mesh together. It makes it hard to scout like an offense if they're going to have multiple different play styles. However, a solid method to kind of build upon isn't really established. And finally, another plus is that it's more adaptable. If you can kind of understand what I mean, is that you can change how you play based on your team that you're playing and then change the plays that you run kind of because you have more of an option. Next up is one back or single back, and this one is more type of formation kind of deal. It's very efficient if you have a big, strong, fast tight end because you can kind of push in the wide receivers closer to the O-line and then get that tight end through the middle and kind of get a matchup with the small DBs. So that's probably the main strength of this formation. There's no fullback, so you can have an extra blocker on the line like a tight end like I mentioned. And also, if you run halfback screens out of this formation, it's going to be very, very helpful because of how condensed everything is. You can easily have your running back slip right through the line. Spread is next up, and this is probably the most popular offense in all of college football. A ton of teams run it across the board. It's a high tempo offense. It emphasizes spreading out the defense. If you can imagine that, you're going to have 4 or 5 wide receivers out. You're going to have empty formations where the quarterback's alone in the backfield. 99% of the plays in spread are out of shotgun. This formation is also very good for kind of pushing the defense left or right because you can have your running back on the right or left side of the quarterback and then run plays different ways. So there's a ton of different things you can do with the spread offense. That's probably why it's so popular, and it just makes for an entertaining game because at the end of the day, college football teams want to win and they want to entertain the fans, so they keep coming back, and spread offensives do exactly that. If you have playmakers at quarterback and wide receiver in your dynasty, I definitely would recommend spread because you can do so much with it and it'll be a lot of fun. Pro style is next, and this is the one that was kind of the reason why I made the video because I really didn't know what pro style was. I saw it a lot in different sports, football games, but it's funny because the name does come from NFL pro style offense, if you can kind of understand what I mean. The big emphasis here is there's a lot of dropbacks for it, and they're also trying to set up the run game. The running is a lot harder than the NFL. You probably knew that already just because the teams are a lot more balanced. You can't just have that brute strength up on the O-line and have a powerful back. It's going to be more spread out. So you're kind of focused on run, but you're also setting up the pass at the same time. It's kind of hard to explain just through words and describing how these players move because all the plays are different really. But this has been also very popular for big name schools because they have playmakers like Alabama, Ohio State, and Texas have all used this in the past, at least sometimes. I guess I would say pro style offense is for someone who likes the simulation side of College Football 25 and wants to run a program like a real one would and, play the game like they're just trying to get those 5-yard rushes, 10-yard rushes, and then a 5-yard slant. If you want to play like that, go ahead and use pro style because it's very effective. It just slows the game down a little bit, if you can kind of understand what I mean. Next up is something called run balance, and it's kind of something to keep the defense guessing. It's a balanced offense, if that's what makes sense. Obviously, there's not one straightforward thing you're running. It's kind of like multiple that I mentioned earlier, except it's not a combination. It's just this is your playbook. Basically no big play potential at all though, which is kind of stinks because you're running a lot. It's called run balanced, and then the pass plays are usually screen passes, slants, so you're not throwing 4 verts every other play like some of these other playbooks are, but you also have a solid offense that you can rely on. I definitely recommend it for if you're a bad team and need to just pick up yards over and over again against a bigger team, because if you use something more kind of volatile like an air raid, you're probably not going to win very many games against big teams. But something like this, you can kind of chip away at them and maybe get under their skin a little bit. So I definitely would recommend run balance for someone who has a horrible team that plays a lot of good competition. Next up is option run, and it's what it sounds like. You probably already know what option is. It's a bunch of triple options, read options. The military schools use it. They throw like twice a game. Obviously, you're going to need a fast running back, a fullback, a fast quarterback is most important because you're going to be on the ground a lot. And you also need to have the user awareness to read. I don't know how easy they're going to make it in College Football 25 because obviously NCAA 14 was very easy to read. They either stood there or went. It's probably going to be something similar because it's hard to read in video games like that. So this would be good. It's a lot of fun to do, especially if you do a dynasty surrounding option and you're the offensive coordinator at like Army or something. Triple option can be a lot of fun because that's when the big plays happen. So that's basically what it is. It's option run. You probably knew about it before watching this video. Run and shoot is a scheme that has a lot of motions between the wide receivers to kind of detect when you're in man versus zone. You know what I'm saying? If the guy comes with you, it's in man. It's an adaptive offense. It's hard to do because you need great team chemistry. Basically what happens is the wide receivers a lot of times have two different routes they could run, but they choose one based on how the defense lines up basically in the game. And the reason you need this, you need a smart quarterback that knows what route they're going to pick and also can read the defense and throw it where he needs to. So it hasn't been super popular in real life, but if you're someone in this game and you think you know what you're doing enough to run this, it can be very effective. The first time when you set up a dynasty, a lot of you guys are probably going to choose air raid, and I don't blame you because it's a ton of fun. Again, you probably know what air raid is. It's called you just sling the ball around, short, medium, long, keep the defense guessing, but it's 75% pass. You're going to have most plays called through an audible, at least in real life, where you're getting up to the line and you're saying, okay, maybe we'll run this play just because they're spread out so much, but the rest of the time, you're just throwing the ball. The idea is that the O-line is kind of spread out. The splits are bigger so that the DNs can't come around as quickly, and then it's quick reads and throws. You have one read between two guys. You look at it, throw it, and that's it, and you just move the ball down the field. So this is very, very useful against worse teams when you have a wide receiver advantage, especially when you have faster receivers. Air raid can just pick apart a defense, and I would also have to say it's the most fun to use in video games in general. It's just air raid, throwing that ball everywhere. Similar to the single back I talked about earlier, pistol is basically when the running back lines up, 3 yards behind the quarterback's 4 yards. It's there to create a balance between shotgun and under center where the quarterback can still read and close enough to the line to do all that stuff, but they also have enough space to throw the ball downfield. The running back can go to either side and get momentum when they get that handoff, so that's also another benefit of pistol. But pistol's kind of boring. I mean, it's like a scheme. There's not really anything super special about it. It's more of a formation, but a lot of plays are run out of pistol if that's the type of offense you do, so that's why I decided to include it on this list. Second to last, we have spread option, which is basically spread, but with option, if you can believe that. It's basically a newer form of offense, and the whole point is how I talked about spread is kind of spreading the field and throwing it down, and then you do that enough where you can kind of spread the defense out and then run this read option with only 4 guys in the box. It's going to be horrible for the defense because they're going to have someone running free. So this is a good offense to run if you're a good offensive coordinator. Like, if you can set up the plays correctly, this will be great. If you don't and you're just calling plays randomly, I mean, it's basically going to be the same as spread, just with option plays. But for someone that knows what they're doing, I would definitely recommend this one because this one can do a lot of damage if you're setting up the plays correctly. The last one is West Coast, and it isn't in NCAA 14, which is what I used as the basis for this video, but it's going to be in College Football 25 most likely. Basically, it's a lot of horizontal passing, if that makes sense, kind of side back and forth passing to kind of spread the defense out. It's a kind of memorization. I don't know a whole lot about it, but there's numbers in the play call. Obviously, this won't be in College Football 25 most likely, but the route tree, the wide receiver memorizes it, and then they run the routes based on like 4, 5, 6. It's probably a route, but I don't know a whole lot about West Coast offense. That's going to do it for today, though. Thank you for watching if you made it this far. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I can't wait for College Football 25 to come out. And make sure to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one.